Welcome to the Other Discovery Show, the podcast that's not about podcasts. It's the bonus show from the Podcast Discovery Show, and it's about all the other things that we discovered. I'm Kirk.
And I am Zach.
And I found a really cool article about how they are combating turtle egg thieves or poachers in Central America. First of all, I didn't know that turtle eggs were a thing that people were stealing.
At first, I thought you were going to say how they were combating turtle eggs. And I was like, wow,
no,
they really hate turtle eggs.
Turtle egg poaching. But apparently there's an illegal turtle egg market in a lot of Central America and specifically like Puerto Rico and stuff as well. It's pretty crazy. And so they were saying that like a ridiculous amount of these turtle eggs are getting stolen before they're able to hatch or anything like that. So, quote, the quote is, in response to this, we came up with the idea of putting a tracking device in sea turtle nests to see if it was possible to see where the eggs were going once they've been taken. And this innovation really sort of came from Breaking Bad and from The Wire, where they placed tracking devices on a tank of chemicals in Breaking Bad and a sound recorder in a tennis ball in The Wire. Essentially what they did was they placed a 3D printed housing as similar as possible to a turtle egg, and inside it they embedded a tracking device, which used a similar sort of technology as your mobile phone. So it's got a GPS and an SMS detector and stuff like that in there. So it would give you a signal whenever there was clear skies or there was, good signal. So these people developed this prototype, and then they got this the scientists to basically find the spots they were going to put them in. I really hate what they called them. They called them investigators.
Why a pun? Why a pun for this?
Yeah, so they did it. And they placed 101 turtle in 101 turtle nests on 4 different beaches in Costa Rica. And a quarter of the fake eggs were snatched up, which is insane. That is so many.
Okay, did they talk about why? What are they doing?
They're eating them. They're eating them.
They're just eating the eggs?
Yeah.
Stop. Just stop doing that.
Yeah, stop it. Stop the thing. You stop it. Stop that.
There's so many things where it's like, this is why we can't have nice things. Stop eating the turtle eggs. That's not a thing that people want. Nobody wants I need to go grab a dozen turtle eggs real quick for dinner.
So there's a lot in this article. They talk about how far, they tracked them. And, some of these were like literally they tracked it to like a back alley behind a restaurant. And they tracked some back to like they were like literally selling them door to door on some of these other people. Now, this was basically more than anything a proof of concept because they weren't like trying to bust people yet. They were trying to see if it would work. So the concept was definitely proven. They were able to figure out where a lot of these people went, where they were being trafficked. That was a good thing, is that they were able to kind of get an
figure
idea
out the network.
Yes, exactly. No,
I want them to be more hostile. Like, did you ever see the video of the dude that made that cell phone bomb thing for people? Yeah, for people who were stealing his packages. That's what I'm talking about.
That's the same guy that did the squirrel. Mark, is it Mark Rober or something like that?
Is it? Yeah, I don't know. But by far my favorite is messing with those. They call them porch pirates because they steal your packages off your porch. And he we'll have to link this video somewhere, show notes or something. He puts 4 cameras on this little mount.
It's pretty great.
He makes it so as soon as you open the box, it spins and shoots a ridiculous amount of glitter everywhere in your house. And it also sprays, I think, fart spray.
Stink bomb, basically.
So because there's 4 cameras, it's literally recording and uploading as it's recording as soon as it happens. So you get to watch the thieves get epically messed with for stealing this. So that's what I think the turtle egg protectors need to be thinking more of. Like, this needs to be very unpleasant if you get caught trying to steal turtle eggs.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Is that why everything's... No, I think that's like a endangered species thing, because like, okay, down here at the beaches in Florida during turtle season, there's a lot of like stuff that happens. Like, all the hotels, you can't have the lights pointing towards the beach. So when you're on the beach, it's really dark because apparently it like confuses the turtles who are trying to look for the moon.
The baby turtles look for the moon. Yeah.
So they make you turn off all the lights. And then there's also, they rope off, and there's like literally signs like it is a felony to mess with a turtle nest. So I don't know if that's because it's not as small a problem as I thought. People eating turtle eggs. I mean, who knew that was a thing that people were even interested in? But I wonder if that plays some part into like kind of the conservation efforts here too.
Yeah, no, and it's I like the approach of, trying. Here's another thing is, if they know that there's decoys and stuff, maybe they'll do it less. I don't know. Like, maybe if they know people are actually trying to police it more. And another thing they were able to pinpoint was when they were taken. Because like on a specific type of beach, it was like early in the morning, like 4 a.m. And on another beach, it was like early afternoon, like almost like still daytime. So then you can know when they need to be patrolled, when you need to, check stuff like that. But this doctor who helped do this is looking forward to a career in international wildlife trade. Paso Pacifico is working with local and international partners to explore concepts around the design of decoy trackers for shark fins and parrot eggs, who are two other things that people are doing a lot of, horrible things with. Presently, we're meeting with conservationists who work on the ground on these species, but the design portion is still in very early stages. But it's really cool that they're working together to try to like curb these, really bad types of poaching that's going on. Mm-hmm. I saw another one today that has nothing to do with this, but it was kind of on the same vein where some conservationists are going to find the rhinoceroses in Africa and stuff. They're tranquilizing them, and I guess you can safely take off the horn of a rhinoceros. So they're taking them off for the sake of, so they won't be killed for the horn. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and also they've seen that it seems to be a microevolution event happening where a lot more elephants are being born without tusks. For the same reason, where essentially that ended up being their main source of predation was humans trying to get them for large ivory. And so we're starting to see some that don't have large tusks like that.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I also, bonus one that I read it just the other day. They're seeing some interesting microevolutions in humans in that more people are being born without wisdom teeth at all, because we just take them out anyways. And then also they're being born with an extra artery in their heart.
So you can eat more bacon?
Yeah. Well, you can eat, you just have to get more stents put in if you eat too much bacon. So it's really working against us. Just more medical procedures. So I discovered something completely unrelated, but interesting this week. Amazon One is going to turn your palm into a contactless credit card. So I don't know if this was mostly started because of COVID or if they were kind of looking in this direction anyways, but Amazon is about to roll out this new technology called Amazon One. And what you do, and it's first going to start at there's apparently Amazon Go outlets in Seattle. So there's outlets that you can go to, physical locations in Seattle. Huh. They're going to start licensing the tech to third parties as well. And it's just an interesting thing to see kind of how payments could evolve this way. So what you're trying to do is, in theory, with this type of technology, you can link all of your like identification. So your credit cards, your ID, basically anything that you need tied to you and you have to carry in your wallet. Normally you could link to one thing, and that is your palm. And so what you would do is you would walk into this Amazon store, you would link your credit card, and then you put your palm out over this reader. And once you do that, then knows the pattern on your palm. And so if you ever want to buy something, you like just put your palm over it. Done. And they said that it looks for a bunch of unique identifiers in your palm and looks for the most distinct ones to create a palm signature. And a lot of people are using facial detection to authenticate people. But they wanted to do this because then they're not part of the problem with people using facial recognition, because your palm isn't going to be something that like the police could misuse to do anything, or government entities could do tracking and things like that. Because we've seen some issues with that. And so it's just like one of those things. We just covered a podcast about that the other day where it was talking about how often there's some issues with just facial recognition. And
it was in Machines We Trust, right? Is that the name of the show we listened? Yeah, it was good. It was good.
So yeah, just the idea that automation and data mining, more so than a particular entity, but data mining of someone's physical identity and allowing them to track you across everything you've been doing by your face itself. So Amazon says that they picked the palm because it's not the same thing. Like it's not like your face. And
I do like that. It's the mark of the beast, right?
Yes. That's, no, it's no, but like, and they also said,
I just know someone's gonna.
Oh, they 100%. They 100% are. But it's like, how is your palm a mark of the beast? Like, this is a much better way to do it than even like facial recognition, because they said it also requires that you do a thing, not like you walk into a store and the store reads your face and is like, oh, thanks for coming in. Here's all your specific ads. You know what I mean? Because that would be the future. You know, I feel like the most likely thing that would affect
like
us
an
would
altered
be
carbon
advertising. Yeah, it's advertising. They want us to spend money, so they would find your face and try and figure out how to make you spend money. But this requires an intentional gesture, so you have to put your hand over a thing. It's not like accidental. It's not passive. It's you put your hand over a thing. It does that. So honestly.
An actual palm reader.
Yeah, we won't have to. I like it. We won't. I don't. By the way, if you're wondering, I don't actually like it. It's terrible. But Amazon has its issues. We won't get into all that. But like, I like the idea behind this. You know, I like the idea of trying to get away from what some people have been doing. But I don't know. I don't really know of a better solution. You know, because in the end, it'd be better if we didn't have to carry like a bunch of physical cards.
Yeah.
So it's like,
my biggest thing is it'd probably be a better thing for, you know, security reasons, like your own security. Like someone can't skim your card at a gas station or something.
No, they'd have
like
to
that.
cut your hand off.
I mean, maybe it's
much more intense. No, but what I'm saying is if they cut your hand off, they could also steal your credit card. You know what I mean? Like if they're going to that extreme, they could just take my credit card. It's like, look, hey, just take it. It's fine. I'm going to cancel it in a minute.
But yeah, I think that it sounds interesting. And also I'm all for it. Sign me up immediately. Speaking of facial recognition and tracking people, I found an article that talks about Chinese schools creating intelligent uniforms to monitor kids at school. So
this should be interesting.
They just came out with new uniforms that will track Chinese students' attendance and location all hours of the day. So China right now is like going through this revolution of watching their citizens and surveillance, and it's nuts. There's also a video that goes along with this article. This is an interesting engineering article, and they did some investigative journalism on like there's a specific region of China that they're basically targeting a religious sect of people. I think it's like a Muslim people, and they're kind of it's
I don't know how to pronounce that word, but yeah, it's definitely Islam.
Yeah, but so they were saying how like, and they showed videos and stuff. It looks horrible.
It's really dicey. Yeah.
To go to the train station, you got to go through like 3 checkpoints. To go to just driving, there's like checkpoints you have to get. They literally will take your phone out and look at your phone, like checking what you've been doing on your phone as at the check stations. And then they also have like a ridiculous amount of facial recognition and stuff like that. But anyway, this they talk about that in the video. But this article in particular is about these Chinese schools basically putting microchips into the uniforms so they can tell where the kids are at all times. And I kind of get some ways in that's a good thing because it's for mainly for smaller kids, not as much for the older kids.
No, I mean it's not as extreme as that, but there's like baby LoJack now. Like I think Apple has one where it's like a little thing. Well, oh no, it's not out yet. That's one of the things they're releasing. It's baby LoJack. Like that's not how they're going to market it, but that's what it is. You put the LoJack on the baby, and then when the baby's out, you can see where it is on your phone. So like I get the thought of like, it's a crazy world. We have the technology so that like if anything were to happen, you could find them. Let's go for it. But this sounds like another level beyond that. Maybe
it's pretty freaky because. So I'm going to read a little bit of it. When a student enters or exits the school's grounds, the intelligent uniform sends that data back to both the teachers and the parents. However, if the student feels like ditching school or basically leave the premises without permission, an obnoxious alarm will be triggered, alerting everyone of the student's afternoon plans.
It's going to narc on you if you try to leave?
Oh, yeah. If the student thinks he can still skip school by switching uniforms, think again. All of the smart uniforms are linked to the given child's face. And if a student were to step into the school with a swapped uniform, the facial recognition technology at the school's entrance will alert the facility of the mismatch. It's
See, and that's what I'm talking about with the facial recognition. Is like as soon as they know you're there because you are there, it's kind of scary. It's weird.
And I love this is the quote from the principal that uses one of the principals that like is all for this.
Mm-hmm.
We choose not to check the accurate location of students after school, but when the student is missing and skipping classes, the uniform helps locate them. I just like, don't worry,
we wouldn't do
that. It's crazy. I don't know. It's one of those things like you're in one way you're like, man, technology's cool. This is pretty neat. And then you're like, oh no, this is real dark. This is real scary. I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing. If you said there's some kind of
perfect world, it could be a good thing, but not
this way.
Not
way.
Not here.
No,
not this way.
Yeah. It's wild. But yeah, it's one of those things that maybe if you didn't know the context of like the current world and you heard like, oh, there's these uniforms that are super smart and they know like when you walk in, they know you're there and everything's set for you. Oh, okay. I like this. So we just got a quote in chat that I definitely think we should share. It's not technology we should fear. It's the abuse and misuse that we should fear by Jacques Fresco. Yeah, no,
that's perfectly put.
Yeah, it's one of those things where could it be cool? Could there be cool applications of this technology? Yeah. Is this one of them? Nah, it seems a little dicey.
I mean, think literally about nuclear technology. You could literally power so much more things, so much more efficiently and better for the planet, or you can kill a ridiculous amount of people with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a double-edged sword. Everything. I mean, technology is scary.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It definitely is. But yeah, that's crazy, because that's definitely kind of on the front end of technology, but then with a twist, with a bonus twist of this seems weird. So I discovered, you mentioned investigative journalism, and I found potentially the first case of investigative journalism. And it is by one of the most badass stories I've ever heard of someone named Nellie Bly, who is an Irish-American journalist. And her whole story is badass, pretty much all of it. So her first published piece was because let me figure out the date on this. So, in 1885, Nellie Bly was 20 years old. And somebody wrote an article in a newspaper. And let me see if I can figure out where it's called The Girl Puzzle. And So somebody wrote this. It was a father of 5 girls. And I'll just paraphrase it, but I'll link all these articles. But a father of 5 girls wrote into a newspaper and he's like, what am I supposed to do with these girls? Like, And I think his premise was they're only good for cooking and for like maintaining the house. What am I supposed to do with all these girls? And so 20-year-old Nellie Bly absolutely responded. And I think she responded as little orphan girl is I think how she responded. But she absolutely eviscerates this dude. And I kind of, it's a little long, but I kind of want to read her response because it's pretty, she goes for it. And this is the beginning. This is her first published piece. So can they have a full and plenty of this world's goods, realize what it is to be a poor working woman, abiding in one or two bare rooms without fire enough to keep warm, while her threadbare clothes refuse to protect her from wind and cold, and denying herself necessary food that her little ones may not go hungry, fearing the landlord's frown and threat to cast her out and sell what little she has, begging for employment of any kind that she may earn enough to pay for the bare room she calls home. No one to speak kindly or to encourage her, nothing to make life worth living. The pay may in some instances be better, but from 7 a.m. till 6 p.m., except for 30 minutes at noon, she's shut up in a noisy, unwholesome place. When duties are over for the day, when tired limbs and aching head, she hastens sadly to a cheerless home. How eagerly she looks forward to payday. For that little mite means so much at home. Thus day after day, week after week, sick or well, she labors. She labors on that she may live. What think you of this, butterflies of fashion, ladies of leisure? This poor girl does not win fame by running off with a coachman. She does not hug and kiss a pug dog, nor judge people by their clothes and grammar. And some of them are ladies, perfect ladies, more so than many who have had every advantage. If girls were boys, quickly would it be said, start them where they will. They can, if ambitious, win a name and fortune. How many wealthy and great men could be pointed out who started in the depths? But where are the many women? Let a youth start as an errand boy, and he will work his way up until he's one of the firm. Girls are just as smart, a great deal quicker to learn. Why then can they not do the same? As all occupations for women are filled, why not start some new ones? Instead of putting the little girls in factories, let them be employed in the capacity of messenger boys or office boys. It would be healthier. They would have a chance to learn. Their ideas would become broader as they would make as good, if not better, women in the end. It is asserted by storekeepers the women make the best clerks. Why not then send them out as merchant travelers? They can talk as well as men. At least men claim that it is a noted fact that they talk a great deal more and faster. If their ability at home for selling exceeds a man's, why would it not abroad? Their lives would be brighter, their health better, their pocketbooks fuller, unless their employers would do as now, give them half wages because they're women. A girl was engaged to fill a position that had always been occupied by men who, for the same, received $2 a day. Her employer stated that he had never had anyone in the same position that was as accurate, speedy, and gave the same satisfaction. However, as she was just a girl, he gave her $5 a week. Some call this equality. Here would be a good field for believers in women's right. Let them forego their lecturing and writing and go to work. More work and less talk. Take some girls that have the ability, procure them for situations. Start them on their way, and by so doing, accomplish more than by years of talking. Instead of gathering up the real smart young men, gather up the real smart girls. Pull them out of the mire, give them a shove up the ladder of life, and be amply repaid by both their success and unforgetfulness of those that held out a helping hand. However visionary this may sound, those who are interested in humankind and wonder what it would do with the girls might try it.
That was her first thing she ever wrote?
That was a response to an article she read in a newspaper. That is the start of Nellie Bly's story. So then, Nellie Bly, after roasting this dude for saying like, oh, I have 5 girls, what am I going to do? She's like, I can't even, I'm going to write you a thing about what you can do. There's a lot of things you can do. And she just like roasting him. But the dispatch editor, because this was the Pittsburgh Dispatch, and this is in 1885. This is
1885.
Like, this is not, this is today that this was written. It could be, it could still be like, this would still be powerful today, but this was so long ago that it's just incredible. But the editor was so impressed with the response that he asked for whoever sent this in, who are you? Like, who is this person? So then she went in and she became an apprentice there. And so apparently her pen name is Nellie Bly. That's not like her original name. She was born Elizabeth Jane Cochran. But then she would essentially start being a journalist, and she wrote a bunch of, and I mean, it's sad, funny, everything at the same time. They liked her response to this editor. They hired her, and then they're like, okay, you can write women's articles. So like, it was like how divorce affected women, women factory workers, which first of all, it's still, it's hard to not look at history with the lens of now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still progressive enough because like they were concerned about like, what is the effect of...
At least they were writing something for women.
Yeah, they were writing stuff about women's perspective from a woman's perspective. So it's I don't want to get too like, oh, we're super woke now and you guys were idiots. But like, still, she was talking about like kind of let people do what they're going to do and don't like pigeonhole. And she kind of gets pigeonholed, but she refuses as a person. So she wrote a series of investigative articles on women and factory workers. So she was essentially trying to do exposés. And that's what I was saying is it's like she would really dig in and try and find this stuff. Investigative journalism was kind of her thing. And she was getting complaints because the factory owners were like, you can't just tell people we're treating people bad. So she was assigned to the women's pages to cover fashion in society. She would later spend 6 months as a special correspondent in Mexico, where she protested the imprisonment of a local journalist and had to flee the country for criticizing the government. Like, I'm telling you, just badass story after badass story with this woman. So she later left her original paper and she joined the staff of the New York World, and she was there for 11 years. So her editor told her, or owner and manager actually, try to find something sensational, you know, something that would push the edge. And maybe her most famous thing she did was she faked mental illness to be put into an asylum.
Oh my God.
To try to check how people in asylums were being treated. Not only did she do this for 10 days to try and find out how badly people in an asylum were being mistreated. And first of all, talk about, this is the thing that I thought was spooky, because me trying to imagine what a 1900, like right around 1900 asylum would be like. Nope. No, thank you. I'm out. I'm 100%
what if they
out.
We're like, she needs a lobotomy. She's going to do that.
No, they would do that.
It.
Like,
that's what I'm saying.
It's nuts.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, no, thank you. But she literally wrote a book called 10 Days in a Madhouse that you can read now. You can read Nellie Bly's like experience doing all this. But literally, because she did this, it led to a grand jury investigation, and there was reform of asylums and mental health facilities because she did this. But like, okay, here's one of her quotes from it. They inject so much morphine and chloral that the patient are made crazy. I have seen the patients wild for water from the effect of the drugs, and the nurses would refuse it to them. I've heard women beg for a whole night for one drop, and it was not given to them. I myself cried for water until my mouth was so parched and dry that I could not speak. So she went into the belly of the beast and absolutely tried to expose the mistreatment there, and it worked. She like shone a light on this thing, and it became something that people looked at. So yeah, she would throughout after this, she would continue to find abuses in institutions and undercover, and kind of was one of the most amazing investigative journalists I've ever heard of. So for kind of her final kind of arc in her life, she read Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne and decided that she was going to try and do this. She wanted to go faster than him. So she wanted to take a balloon around the world. And she broke the record. She did it in 72 days, which, first of all,
so she didn't just try to do it. She actually did it.
She did it, and she broke the record. So instead of Around the World in 80 days, Around the World in 72 days is also a book that you could check out. So then she had like a rival and everything that she was trying to do this with. But then she went back to journalism, covered World War I, continued to highlight women's issues. And kind of the saddest part of this is she died of pneumonia at 57, because she died in 1922. So it's like there was no version of what we consider medicine now. But it's honestly, everything I was reading about her story, each one would kind of blow my mind. Each different level of what she was doing would blow my mind. And then the original thing of just roasting somebody for being an idiot in an article is a great way to do it.
No, she sounds awesome. So I got one more discovery for this week. It's my spooky Halloween discovery for
spooky time
for this week for TODS. So this one, it's just so unsettling. It's not like a ghost or anything, but it's just unsettling. Little girl terrified after hackers take over camera and tell her I'm Santa. An 8-year-old girl has been left terrified after a hacker took over her bedroom camera and told her that he was Santa before asking, "Don't you want to be best friends?"
Oh,
it's so bad. The girl's family from DeSoto County, Tennessee, who was also left frightened when they realized that the camera, which is used for them to keep an eye on their children. This is a Ring camera. This is not like some cheap camera that
Rings are notorious for this being a problem.
Apparently, had been tapped into. According to the Mirror, which is the local magazine or whatever, the family installed a Ring camera in Alyssa's room for 4 days before it got hacked. It only took
4 whole days. Yeah, Ring has issues. Another one of those things that, in theory, great. In practicality, there's some issues.
On the camera recording, Alyssa can be heard because they have the recording of this because it's a Ring camera.
Sure.
You can hear her asking, "Who is that?" before the guy replies, "I'm your best friend." She shouts for her mom, and the man adds, "I'm Santa Claus. Don't you want to be best friends?"
Oh, I don't like whoever this hacker is. Get out of here. That's a little kid.
The little girl is then taunted with strange music before the man tells her, "You can mess up your room. You can break your TV. You can do whatever you want." The little girl is even quoted, I guess the news people interviewed her. "I was in the hallway and thought it was my sister because I hear music. It's like Tiptoe Through the Window. So I come upstairs and I hear some banging noises."
He played Tiny
Who
Tim.
is that?
That is
apparently.
I don't like this guy. Whoever this guy is, I don't like him.
And of course, the mom sees the horrible things that could have happened. She's like, they could have watched her sleeping, changing. They could have seen all kinds of things. It's
Did
terrifying.
she take the camera out of her daughter's room?
I'm pretty sure the camera's not there anymore. But I do love the Ring response because the Ring did have a response.
Yeah, I'm sure they did about how it's not actually. Oh, Ring's very safe. Don't worry, everybody.
Yeah, this is the statement that Ring gave. "Customers' trust is important to us, and we take the security of our devices seriously. While we are still investigating this issue and are taking appropriate steps to protect our devices based on our investigation, we are able to confirm that this incident is no way related to a breach or compromise of Ring security."
It seems like it is.
And the reason that they have is because the mom hadn't set up the 2-factor authentication yet. So that was their reasoning as to why they think it was the mom's fault and not their fault.
That's it's very convenient. I mean, first of all, it is better to have 2-factor, but I don't know how they're convinced that that's what it was. So they're saying that they just guessed her password or they fished her for her password.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. I'd like to see that they know that happened and that she wasn't hacked.
Anyway, super creepy, super weird. It goes very much along with next week's podcast. With
if you want, I can lighten it up a little bit. I saw
lighten it up
for a final. I saw that there's a movie coming out called Fat Man, I think is what it's called, and it is a dark comedy about, I think, Santa, who is played by Mel Gibson, has some debt problems. So he has to start working with a paramilitary group for something and start trying to make some money. And then a little 12-year-old who gets pissed off at Santa because he gave him a lump of coal in his stocking hires a hitman to kill Santa. So just complete ridiculousness, and that's coming out.
That sounds ridiculous.
Walton Goggins is the hitman, so I mean, it should be good.
Okay. Well, yeah, that is all of the time that we have for this week. We had a lot of discoveries, and we are excited to discover some new things and bring them to you guys next week. Thank you guys so much for listening. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And we will talk to you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.